Okay, so right from the jump, obviously this episode does for Brooke what last week's episode did for Robin, by way of Brooke succumbing to Maria's illusions and conquering them, ultimately leading to the tag team of Robin and Brooke facing down Maria together. And in any sort of pacing flaws that there pretty much are with this method aside, I do like how I do love this method the anime took of giving Robin and Brooke their own personal introspective episodes as it in the middle of this fight, as it is overall fixing the main problem I had with this fight in the manga, which is Black Maria herself never really felt like a threat, at least when it came to her fight against Robin and Brooke. Also, the two episodes have also even though when it comes to also, these two episodes have done a lot more, I find, to give Black Maria a much more threatening and terrifying presence than she also had before, so that's also worth something. And even though this episode does kind of make the same mistake as last week's episode, I feel it did kind of fix the last week's episode's main problem as well, just from how it downplayed the flashbacks a little bit in favor of putting more emphasis on Brooke's illusory visions of the Rumbar Pirates and his old captain Yorkie, as it did something I hadn't thought about before, which is that it gave Brooke the opportunity to close the book on his past and put any unresolved closure to rest that he couldn't from being unable to from just being unable to do anything to help his crew at the time, except just watch everyone he cared about die in front of him. I feel this episode did a lot to give Brooke that closure, I feel, in a lot of ways, and just resolve those past demons. I also feel this episode overall just had a slightly higher production value to it, from how it made use of darker colors to emphasize just how suffocated and lonely Brooke felt during that time, from constantly being haunted by the memories of his old crew, and contrasting that with the brighter colors when he found hope again from meeting the Straw Hats, and that he's reminded that he still has Little Boone to return to. Little touches like that, in my opinion, really made the episode stand out, and again, it really contrasted just how he had felt at that time versus where he is now. And yeah, I know I'm stating the obvious at this point, but this is just an episode that took full advantage of everything in regards to how diverse Brooke's soul abilities really are. As this episode really kind of showed just how Brooke's soul abilities allow him to adapt to nearly any situation. But don't get me wrong, I don't want to leave Robin out either, because more than anything else, I feel Robin's contributions to this episode were that it really emphasized why Robin and Brooke make such a dangerous combo, which is how well they work together, and how well they're perfectly able to synchronize and coordinate their abilities and their attacks together. And how well they were able to counter everything Black Maria threw at them, which in itself shows that more than anything else, the one thing that will serve as, I think, is Black Maria's biggest downfall is just how much she underestimated Robin. Maria's entire goal in facing Robin was thinking that her little parlor trick was enough to defeat Robin and bring her to ultimately bring her to Kaido. But really, Robin has been in control this entire fight from the beginning. Up until the back half, there was really no part of this fight where Maria was in control, which also shows, I think, one of the biggest weaknesses of Kaido and the upper echelon of his crew especially is arrogance. Up until this point, they've been known as one of the most powerful pirate crews ever, even probably more so than Big Mom's. When it comes to the Yonko, Kaido, for the most part, he stands at the top of the food chain, and that unfortunately has let them believe that they truly are invincible. Nothing can stop them, and there's absolutely nothing that can pretty much destroy them. But ultimately, as shown in this episode, if one is if one can use their power effectively, then yeah, they can pretty much overcome that strength gap, and again, just in the way that Robin and Brook had utilized their own strengths in order to overcome Black Maria up to this point. It really shows just how much that Black Maria has been really underestimating Robin, and especially underestimating Brook. Like, if she thinks it's gonna, like, again, aside from, I guess, the little turnover from the last half of this fight, like, Black Maria got a little bit of dose of what it's like to be kind of overpowered in this episode, I think, more than anything else. But aside from that, though, the episode was pretty straightforward from there, just touching base with Luffy, Shinobu, and Momonosuke, which was arguably the weakest part of the episode, as it's the one moment where, while it is setting up for Luffy's major comeback and Momonosuke's big change, it was also the one aspect where it did feel like it was stretched just a little bit to fill time, which, if that is the biggest complaint I have, then it just shows, I think, how effective the concept of this episode was executed. Like honestly, if I'm being honest, like despite the whole flashback thing, again, this episode just kind of made a better use of its time, I feel, and just overall, like, I think the overall, like this episode, I think is proof of how just fast paced an episode can be when you execute on a concept correctly, even with fillery aspects to it. And although again, let's talk a little bit about what Luffy says to Momo at the end of the episode, because he basically asks Momo to basically take him up to Onigashima by transforming into a dragon again. And again, you can pretty much see, if you really look at this setup, you can pretty much see where this is going. Like, for any anime onlys out there, if you really look at, if you really think about the context of Shinobu's abilities, then you pretty much know how this is going to play out with Momonosuke. And, like, ultimately, Momonosuke, he's going to reach a bit of a growth spurt, pretty much, to put it lightly. And yeah, credit where it's due. Caribou might be an annoying bastard a lot of the time, in my opinion, but he came in clutch when it mattered with the food Luffy needed to be restored to full strength. But yeah, just as a whole, this back half of the episode did feel like the most fillery part of the episode until we get the ball rolling on Luffy's major comeback. But I'm sure, I don't think it'll be too many episodes beyond this one where we finally get to that point. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to notification bell, subscribe button, and just the room, guys. Dark Knight signing off. Later, everyone.